So imagine this. You're on a date with a great movie. You go out there and she's giving you the sexy eyes. She's giving you all the signals. And then midway through the date, she just turns cold on you and you have no idea what you did or what you said to piss her off. That in a nutshell was Risen.
Who's the one and only Malcolm?
Now, I do tend to stay away from religious movies like this one just because they tend to feel a little too preachy to me about their message overall, and it sort of makes the movie suffer a lot for me as far as both pacing, in terms of just the overall message seems always overly forced, and then I just tend to get bored with the overall product that they're pushing down my throat. So I usually stay away from movies like this, but I decided to give it a chance because it seemed to be doing critically pretty well. So I figured, hey, if critics are rating it pretty high, I'm going to see what I think about it. The unfortunate thing about this film in particular is that the first half of it was actually not preachy at all, and I actually quite enjoyed it. The overall premise of the movie, you've probably heard of the story. Jesus Christ recently was crucified. Pontius Pilate is afraid, as well as the Jews in the movie are also afraid that there's going to be some sort of religious uprising or religious awakening because his followers have said that Jesus Christ is going to rise from the dead in a few days. So Pontius Pilate puts his number one in command, Clavius, in charge of, one, at first guarding the body, and then when the body does go missing, in terms of trying to find who has the body or what they did with it. That's really where the fun of this movie comes in, is that the first half of the movie is Clavius going around arresting people, trying to figure out where the body is, who his disciples are, why their faith is so strong, stuff like that. And it was very interesting to see and to kind of go through that process, because it's like, hey, this is Roman culture, but this is recognizable. This is clearly a cop movie right now. Then the sort of turn in the movie happens where the main character finds all the answers he's looking for. So one, that takes the fun out of it because all the mystery is gone. You kind of know what's up. The second half of the movie is just basically him, his entire faith shaken to the core, and then him trying to decide what he wants to do with this newfound knowledge. And while that is an interesting process in and of itself, it made that half of the movie just kind of drag, and it wasn't as interesting for me. Although I will say, from an acting perspective, the performances in this film were actually pretty solid. The main character, Tom Fiennes? I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name. What's interesting to me actually about his role in this is that a lot of people probably don't know this, but he also played Martin Luther, basically the guy who sort of created Lutheranism, in another movie. So I kind of feel like this is like a little, like a prequel, sort of like a foreshadowing, even though I know it's not. But he did a really good job in the movie as sort of the detective, the Roman soldier who's really tired of everybody's shit. And while there are times where he has to be pretty rough with the people he's interviewing, he actually does a good way of being charismatic to the point where you still root for him, still hope that he finds his answers, and you don't wish him any ill for it. Draco Malfoy was also in this movie, and he did a fine job, although his eyes were very distracting me because they're like this bright blue, and then everything else in the movie is very kind of dingy and ugly and gross. So it just threw me off a little bit, but his role in this movie, it's a good role because he plays kind of the second to Clavius, but it's also a small enough role where I can't really say that his acting was really great or bad. He did a fine job for what he was given, and I hope to see him in more stuff because he didn't seem too bad in this role. So good job. I liked it very much. And I will say the sort of structure of the world that they were in was extremely interesting to me because most movies like this tend to sort of grandize Roman culture and make it seem like this big grand thing. And this kind of made it a little more gritty, a little bit more realistic. So, like, you have Pontius Pilate and Clavius and all these other people. They're just tired, like physically exhausted because they have to go through all this shit every day, dealing with the Jews, dealing with peasants, everything like that. The whole surroundings seemed very dirty and dingy. It didn't seem as clean or as glamorous as what you would think when you first think of the ancient Romans and stuff like that. So I liked how it all looked. I liked how it was all set up. It made it very realistic, very gritty. It was really cool to see. This part's a big spoiler here, but you do get to see Jesus Christ in this movie, and he wasn't white, and that's pretty cool. The only real thing I didn't like about the first half of the movie is when he's interviewing all the disciples. I see this in a lot of movies where there's a person that's supposed to be kind of enlightened and knows more than like the main characters, And what I hate about people like that in those kind of films is that they come off overly preachy or as if they're talking down to whoever they're speaking to, and it just comes off as conceited and just annoying to me. So you kind of had to deal with that a couple times in the first half of the movie where you have these people that are just kind of like, but they know more than the Romans. So, but they're also going to be cryptic about it. Like they're going to not give you any real answers, which just annoys me even further. So that's more of a pet peeve of mine. Don't let that ruin the movie for you. But I just found that a little annoying going into the first half of the film. But overall, I can't really say that I loved this film. Again, the first half was solid. It was interesting. And then the second half was just extremely boring and extremely long, and it made the film drag on. So, it was an okay film. If you're religious, go see it. You'll probably enjoy it. If you're not religious, you'll enjoy the first half, and then maybe go somewhere else after the first half. You'll kind of know the breaking point. It's very clear where the film just shifts into a different movie entirely. And then that second half really just, if you're not religious, you probably won't enjoy it all that much. So, it was an okay movie to see. I was mostly there for the popcorn. But again, if you're not religious, you're probably not going to enjoy this movie as much as a religious person would. That's it for me. Did you see Risen? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video. And as usual, feel free to subscribe to our channel. And also feel free to go to our website at madmazreviews.com to get more of our amazing content. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Now, if you will excuse me, my plane leaves shortly.
You are going on a quest for knowledge?
No, I'm going to visit my mother in Miami.